Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov says that there are attempts to distort the meaning of the US-Russian initiative on holding Geneva II International Conference on Syria. After restoring security and stability to the city of Safirah in Aleppo countryside, Syrian Arab Army units seized explosive devices in some houses and public places. Thousands of Bahrainis take to the streets in the village of Ali, south of west of Al-Manama, denouncing their government's oppressive policies. This is news in English from the Syrian Arab Division in Damascus. Minister of Information Omran al-Zoubi stressed that UN Secretary General's Special Representative al-Akhdar al-Ibrahimi should be a real envoy and act neutrally as a fair mediator and not propose ideas outside his powers. Al-Zoubi said the United Nations envoy to Syria al-Ibrahimi attempt to equate the armed terrorist groups with the Syrian state reflects his bad reading and understanding of political and field situation in Syria. Al-Zoubi went on to say that the Syrian government's conduct, work and arming the Syrian army is a legal act that is consistent with the international law and enshrined in the Syrian constitution, stressing that the Syrian army and armed forces are defending the Syrian homeland, state and citizens. Al-Zoubi blamed the events unfolding in Syria on such countries as Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Qatar and some Western countries who have offered backing to the armed groups, adding that the United Nations envoy has evaded calling things by their names and spelling out the real stances, opting instead for phrases that reflect selective attitudes. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said that there are some attempts to distort the Russian-American understanding and initiative to hold Geneva II on Syria. Lavrov said during a press conference at the conclusion of the discussion of the Russian and Japanese Foreign and Defense Ministries in Tokyo that there are a lot of tricks around the Russian-American initiative, as these attempts are not for failing the initiative but to distort its content and change its track. Lavrov added that Moscow values Tokyo's attention and intention to take the peace track, which goes in accordance with the Japanese constitution. On his part, the Japanese foreign minister stressed that Moscow supported Tokyo's participation in the international conference on Syria, pointing out that the cooperation between the two countries in the fields of security is not important to the bilateral relations but also to the whole region of the Pacific Ocean. The Syrian Arab Army have gained full control over Safirah town in Aleppo southeastern countryside following a series of successful operations that inflicted heavy losses on the armed terrorist groups.
بيان صادر عن القيادة العامة للجيش والقوات المسلحة.
A statement by the General Command of the Army and Armed Forces underlined the importance of this new achievement by the armed forces, referring that the importance of this achievement stems from the fact that this strategic area is the southeastern gateway to Aleppo city. Therefore, controlling it would ensure the supply routes of food and medical items to our people in Aleppo. The statement pointed out that it also provides a springboard to finish off the armed terrorist gangs in the eastern countryside of Aleppo city. And it affirmed determination to press ahead with the combating terrorism. The General Command called on all those who have been deceived to return to the right path and benefit from the amnesty decree number 70 for 2013 that President Bashar al-Assad issued.
After restoring security and stability to the city of Safirah in the northern countryside of Aleppo, Syrian Arab Army units continued their operations in the nearby areas. Army units seized several tunnels that were used by terrorists to convey weapons and ammunition. Many explosive devices were also seized in some houses and public places to target citizens and members of the Syrian army. The news correspondent said that the Syrian Arab Army would press ahead with its operations in the areas of Tal Alam and Queris in Aleppo countryside. Units of the Syrian Arab Army carried out operations against terrorist dens in several areas of Idlib countryside, killing and injuring many of them and destroying their cars and equipment. An army unit in cooperation with the residents ambushed an armed terrorist group from the so-called Sughur al-Sham brigades in the area between Akhmenis and al-Mastuma villages in the countryside of Idlib. A military source said all the members of the terrorist group were killed and injured, and their weapons and equipment were seized. The source noted that the confiscated equipment included a 120mm mortar and 54 rounds for that mortar, in addition to various amounts of gunpowder, wireless communication devices, an RPG launcher and shells. Earlier, Syrian Arab Army units killed and injured scores of terrorists in Kafr Shlaya and Abu Dhur and other nearby villages. In Damascus countryside, the Syrian Arab Army units destroyed terrorist gatherings and hideouts with all the weapons and ammunition inside them to the south of Hosh Arab and Adra, north of Al-Sahel, southeast of Al-Jarjir in Al-Nabik, and north of Yabrud in Damascus countryside. A military source pointed out that an army unit targeted terrorists in Kermarsas farms and killed many of them, including Muhammad Fahid Sultana. In addition to destroying their equipment, other army units destroyed the terrorist den and killed 30 of them in Rima farms in Yabrud area. In Deir ez-Zor, Syrian Arab Army units continued their progress and qualitative operations, killing terrorist Muhammad al-Shati, the leader of the so-called the Conquerors Brigade in Asham, and other terrorists in Al-Rashidiyya neighborhood. A Lebanese soldier was wounded when two masked men shot him in Al-Tal Street in Tripoli city that was still witnessing sniping and shooting. Lebanese security forces have said that detainees from Jabhat al-Nusra al-Jumia prison were supervising military terrorist operations and recruiting fundamentalists to smuggle arms from Lebanon to Syria via al-Qaeda-linked extremist groups, adding that they possess big quantities of explosives. Moreover, the Lebanese Safirah newspaper has unveiled that the fundamentalists have executed a number of Jabhat al-Nusra elements inside the prison because they disclosed information about al-Qaeda. Thousands of Bahrainis took to the streets in Ali village, southwest of the capital Al-Manama, in response to a call by the opposition to take part in the demonstration under the motto, "Our demands are justice, equality and democracy." The demonstrators have shouted slogans demanding a political solution for the crisis in the country, that Prime Minister Khalifa bin Sulaiman al-Khalifa be ousted, all detainees be set free, and equality and democracy be realized. In a statement, the Bahraini opposition has asserted that the Bahrain regime was maneuvering and evading any political reforms that would grant the Bahrain people their legitimate rights, which will result in political deadlock and diminished chances of any political solution. With this, we end our news for today. Thank you for watching. For more details about Syria and the region and to view this bulletin again, you can always visit our website in English, www.syriaonline.sy. Now to the latest in business and market news with Nariman, but after a short break.